But you're saying that you're streaming, but where are you streaming? No, you're just streaming on Twitch because I've cancelled the restream. Okay. But now because you're only doing one,
आपको पानी चाहिए?
But first, I want to show you guys how to add this recent follower into OBS before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Head back to Stream Elements, and I want you to click Save. You'll find this in the top right. And then you're going to copy the link as shown on screen here now. Now head back to OBS, click Add Source, Browser Source, name it Recent Follower, and once it's added, open its properties by double-clicking on it. Paste in the browser source URL we copied from Stream Elements, and then change the size of the source too far ahead of ourselves. Looks all your recent followers scrolling along. Obviously that scroll isn't for everyone, but I wanted to include it in case you needed it. Now, no matter what label you're trying to add, this process is pretty much the exact same. You click the plus, you add the label, you make it look nice, and there you go. For example, adding latest subscriber would be exactly the same. Now, I still need to show you guys how to set up custom goals that look so much nicer than the default goals, and I want to show you that one label I use to triple my subscribers. But first, I want to show you guys how to add this recent follower into OBS before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Head back to Stream Elements, and I want you to click Save. You'll find
there must be a way to access my profile.
Find this in the top right. And then you're going to copy the link as shown on screen here now. Now head back to OBS, click Add Source, Browser Source, name it Recent Follower, and once it's added, open its properties by double-clicking on it. Paste in the browser source URL we copied from Stream Elements, and then change the size of the source to the same size as the canvas on Stream Elements, which should also be the same as OBS because we covered it at the start. For me, mine was 1920 by 1080, but make sure yours just matches. We'll then hit save and make sure the browser source is on the top of the source list and not hidden behind any other layers. And there you go, it should appear if you followed everything correctly. Now, sometimes your browser source might be a little bit squiff and you need to line it up properly. If you've set all your resolutions correctly, simply right-click on the browser source, transform, and click Fit to Frame Size. It will then scale and match the corners perfectly to your canvas. Now, as I said, if we wanted to add a new label such as latest subscriber, then it is the exact same process. But if you're adding a second label, you need to decide whether or not you're going to add it to the current browser source you've set up, or make a whole new overlay and add that as another browser source. If you go back to Stream Elements and go to My Overlays, you can click Edit and you'll open up your canvas again. Now you can add another label here to the one we created earlier, let's say latest subscriber, and hit save. Now this means they're both inside one layer in OBS. So if you want to change where your recent follower is, it will also move where your latest sub is as well. This obviously can make things pretty simple. If you have 4 different bars and they're all in the same overlay, when you move one, they all move together pretty easily. But if you want control over each individual one and you don't want to constantly have to go back into Stream Elements to move them, then you'll need them on separate layers inside OBS. To do this, you'll go back to My Overlays and you'll click on the ... of the overlay. You're then going to click Duplicate and rename the duplicate of the old label overlay. Now inside this new overlay, I want you to delete the old label that's duplicated from the scene. To do this, go to the top left, select the label you want to delete and click the trash bin. Now we have a blank canvas with just the graphic we added earlier. Now add in your new label to the empty graphic the same way as I showed you earlier, and then add this as its own browser source, again the same as I showed you earlier. You're probably thinking though, but how do I get rid of the other 2 empty bars I don't want? Well, after you've imported them, all you have to do is hold Alt and drag the edges, and this will actually crop it down to only the bar you want. You have to be careful though, because you'll actually see that as I scale these to be larger, they become blurry. This is because obviously we're losing resolution by dragging them up. So make them bigger inside Stream Elements before you start cropping and making them larger here in OBS. Now you have 2 separate support bars on 2 separate browser source layers inside OBS, which you can move manually however you want. But a trick here, if you want, you can actually select them all and then group them in a folder. This means you can move them around as the folder or open it up and move them around individually. But I promised you we'd be able to boost your growth and potentially triple your subscribers, which we will do. But first, let me show you how to add a custom daily follower goal.
Oh, come on.
Word document or a notepad. You don't really need them. Panel. Or was going to come back to the shadow and replace displays all the recent of that type. So if we clicked the plus, clicked follower, normal paragraph, everything, part and the part after to say whatever you want, settings with the label layer selected. Here you can see that everyone has a graphic fully uploaded. We can head back to Stream Elements. Now, if you added the label before when I was showing you guys, you can just click and drag it, or if you need, you can add it again by going to the plus button, head to labels and click latest follower. Just like before, this adds in a label that will display your latest follower, and just like before, it still looks terrible. I want you to click on the new text that has appeared and drag it over the top of your support bar for now. If it goes behind or under the support bar rather than above or on top of it, don't worry. Head to the top left and select the label layer. Now drag it above the video or image layer that your graphic is on. This will put it above the graphic. Now click settings with the label layer selected. Here you can see and edit the text for your label. The first part is just text essentially, but the part in brackets is very basic code that tells the label to pull the name of your latest follower. You can change the front part and the part after to say whatever you want essentially, and the name will still appear. For example, we could put new king, and as long as you don't change the brackets, the latest follower will still appear there. Now, obviously, depending on the label, what appears in the brackets will do different things. If you added the label for latest subscriber, then in the brackets, it would pull the latest sub's name rather than the latest follower's name. Next up, we have position, size, and style settings. These don't overly matter, to be entirely honest. The width and the height are the size of your label's border box. You can either change it here or you can simply click and drag to expand or shrink the border in the canvas. Top and left are where the label is actually appearing on your canvas.
Seems like too much work for a person who's got like $100.